morning, girls. Nikita, Danielle, and now Tanika as well. Marley, you've joined already. Glad to see that we've got a good group going so far for a Wednesday, a wet Wednesday. Let me put it that way. I'm not even going to refer to it as small Saturday. Today is just purely a grey Wednesday. A grey and wet Wednesday, and we can deal with that. We do not have a problem to deal with wet Wednesdays. I do have to admit that I do envy you, especially today, having to be on campus while you guys are probably still in your pajamas, with a hot cup of coffee or hot chocolate or whatever next to you. So the envy levels are quite high, yes, but that's also okay. I'll live with that. At or for today's session, girls, we are going to from the start, we're going to unmute ourselves. I'm not going to address a particular student and ask them to answer a particular question from our case study. I want everybody to participate. Let's see, a page is here. I just want to, page is definitely present. And as everybody else joins us, I will just add. Don't worry about that. I've got everybody that's here. Minka is not here yet, not signed in yet. Marley is, Andrishka is. Jessica, did I see you? Are you here?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Jessica is under her duvet because the sound is very, very low. But maybe I can adjust my sound here as well. That's going to definitely help. I suppose that's going to help, yes. I didn't miss anybody. Everybody that is present, I've captured. Tanika, of course. Tanika, you are here as well, but I haven't marked you yet. Am I correct? Kia? Kia not joining us today? Okay, all good.
Sir, I wasn't present yesterday.
You're quite right. Did I
Sorry.
Did I by accident tick that box? Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
No, don't worry about it. I'll correct it. Kia is in exact opposite situation. She has been marked absent for today, but she's just it's just signed on. I'll just change that. Don't worry. I'll update the list when the class is finished. Right. So let's share a window with you that refers to specifically the case study that we are going to discuss today. Right. Let's start with an assumption. The assumption is that you've all read the case study. Okay. I'm not going to request a lie detector test, so I'm going to assume that everybody has read the case study on page 91 to 93 in your textbooks. If you haven't, that at least that you visited the slides on Canvas, and that you can, through that particular medium, or use that particular medium to read through the case study. I'm going to quickly read through the case study as it's on the screen, and you can just follow as I go along, and then obviously we'll address the questions one by one, which is our way of summarizing chapter 3. Converse, at the start here, who didn't know anything about Converse before they read this? Who has never heard of the brand? Familiar to you? All of you? Okay, assumption number 2. All of you have heard about Converse. We'll get to the reasons why later on. Converse became very famous, especially when the rockers and punks and artists and everybody else identified with the shoes as anti-sneakers and anti-conformist, associating with dirt and live-in look after shoe. That was the popular attributes Nowadays, it reflects a fashion statement for the retro modern subculture and is marked or marketed as a classic shoe for the new generation. Converse has secured a good brand position in the minds of the customers through superior product attributes, carefully selected price, image, quality, which clearly differentiates it from from the competitor shoes. Converse All Stars specifically are available in a variety of colors and styles, as we can see from the images at the bottom of the screen, priced well at a higher end brand, supporting its positioning among customers as being trendy, yet a simple shoe. Now, the target market specifically, they deliberately focuses on two age groups, the 13 to 9-year-olds and the entry-level professionals aged 20 to 35. And they do that over the traditional mass marketing. So they definitely not mass market, they specifically target those two target markets. Shoes are designed for both men and women with different variations from ankle height designs to high boots, colors complementing almost all outfits for both genders. From a marketing perspective, the freedom to choose what to wear, how to remain relative when selling shoes, the power and influence of Converse lies more with the peers and the environment than with the individual. In the South African market, Converse All Stars has also a close association with gangs and chotsis. The shoes have also become common among fashion-conscious people living in the suburbs who are not regarded as gangsters when wearing these shoes. Many customers find a sense of belonging or connection with the communities they come from. It also provides a sense of individuality within a group that sees itself as upwardly mobile and successful. In other words, the yuppies. Okay, buying online company Converse has a very simple functional website. You've got it on the screen there. It is carefully analyzed the online activities of the web customers, which gave its insight into which customers are most likely to be interested in its shoes, which enables the company to place advertisements on what sites those customers are visiting. For example, behavioral segments such as fashion interested or outdoor sports enthusiasts. And if you go onto any of those sites, they will be advertising on those platforms. Marketing Converse, since the beginning, Converse promoted its all-star range of shoes as an affordable, trendy shoe for youngsters, frequently discounts on your Converse shoes. It plays a very significant role in attracting new customers. Combined with regular promotions on in-store purchases, consumers are enticed to buy the All-Stars again. And to finish off the final page, in the past, Converse also successfully associated itself with celebrities from all walks of life, filling the role of reference groups or influencers, ranging from sport to music to media, which without a doubt helped them to make a positive impression on the younger generation by involving themselves in street fashion and music markets. Converse successfully associated itself with originality and innovative ideas. For example, allowing customers to design and select their own colors for their shoes, a symbol of individuality and self-expression. Converse currently Converse's current marketing strategy revolves around two core principles. First, drawing attention to their consumers, and second, how they use and enjoy the shoes. In conclusion and summary, Converse is a recognized brand in the fashion footwear industry which positions its all-stars as a shoe for self-expression. Right, that's a mouthful. That's a lot of information, but it's of a very simple to understand nature. There's no words that you think, oh my word, what they're trying to say here, which you find sometimes in articles and case studies, and you think, oh, I need a degree just to, and not a dictionary to understand this particular concept. So it's quite simple and straightforward, and therefore the questions are similar to that. So if we go to the discussion questions, all of you, anybody can take a shot at it, and obviously the more of you are involved, the better, and it's a nice interactive session. And again, if we do this, it's going to be most efficient, and we will also be able to live up to our expectations, and that is to get some discount on your time that you have to spend in front of your screen today. Question 1. How would you classify the type of buying decision that the customers would normally make when they're choosing to buy a shoe? Remember at the beginning of the chapter, there's different types. I think there were 4 specific types that was identified and discussed. When buying shoes, what type of buying decision would you classify it as? Is it a complex buying decision? Is it a dissonance reducing buying decision? Is it a habitual buying decision? Or is it a variety seeking buying decision? What would you say? Anybody?
Variety seeking buying decision.
Yes, I'd also say that.
Firstly, because there's a variety of shoes in the market. It's not just Converse who have a shoe range, and also within Converse, there's also a variety in ranges in different sizes, ankle height, flat shoes, casuals, different colors, different designs, bootlegs. So the whole lot is there. So yes, it's definitely a variety-seeking type of buying decision that would normally apply when you're buying shoes, and obviously in the case of Converse as well. Let's go to question 2. Which information source would a first-time customer make use of when considering to buy Converse All-Stars? Remember, there are different information sources that they can use. Should I guide you?
I would say marketing sources.
Yes.
And yeah.
Okay. Marketing sources, because marketing sources are made available to those who task it to be to sell the service. So the potential buyers get information from the marketers themselves. Do you think personal source is also appropriate? Maybe, maybe because it's not necessarily. There's not necessarily in every question. There's only a one correct answer. Like with the previous one, there's no other type of buying decision it could be. But in the case of the information sources, yeah, I definitely do believe it's from the case study. It is evident that they obviously. Social media is a platform that is used. So a lot of information is provided to the consumer online, or not just online, but on the specific platform that is most used by their target market. And also remember their target market. Where would a 13 to 19-year-old customer get information? Would they get that information necessarily from a sales consultant in the shop? Would they get it online? They probably get it on their phones, on different platforms, and probably their peers and their friends. How many of you think that experiential resources is also an option when you're buying Converse All-Stars?
I definitely think that one, sir, because they said in the buying online, it's
Yes.
simple, and they analyze the online activities of its customers.
Yeah,
So it's
and as it's from the case study, it was also evident that once you've bought a shoe, because they're so trendy and because they're so funky, and I'm assuming I don't have an All-Stars shoe in my cupboard, unfortunately, but they look so comfortable, and I know for a fact when I'm buying shoes, as a male as opposed to females buying shoes, I know that you guys have to buy a shoe that fits a particular outfit. You don't mix and match. Okay, those pair of shoes go with that jean and with that top. Am I correct?
Sometimes so.
Depends on there's a budget consideration here as well. I
Yeah,
understand. Maybe if you're working, if you're a young adult and you're working and you're in income, then it's probably true, because I know that my wife the other day bought another pair of shoes. I said, well, why do you? Because it was on one day only. and I can't give up, I can't miss this opportunity. I said, but you have a shoe that looks almost like that. No, and remember, it almost looks like it. It's not exactly the same. This one will go nice with. Oh no, all right. I've given up in that regard. Again, she's earning her own money and she's spending her own money, so it doesn't really affect me. But I think if we could compare the genders in this buying process, you will find that buying shoes for males, they want something that's trendy and funky, but they want it to be versatile as well. They want to actually wear it with 2 or 3 different outfits. And I suppose for the particular target market that Converse has, or the particular markets that Converse has targeted, that is probably true. That they will be looking at probably not as much your young adults, your 20 to 35-year-olds who's already working and earning income. They would probably go for a variety of shoes where your 13 to 19-year-old group would probably go for a shoe that they will definitely have one. If they like the All-Stars, they will definitely have more than one All-Star in their cupboard, but they will probably go with purchases because it comes from their pocket money or their parents have to buy it for them. They'll probably go for a shoe that is versatility is important. It can go with 2 or 3 different outfits. So from all the different resources that you can find your information, your internal resources, your personal marketing, public and experiential resources or sources, you probably are correct. Yes, marketing and experiential is definitely a resources. And then I do believe that your for maybe your younger group, your 13 to 19-year-olds, your personal sources, your friends, especially your peers in the peer group that you find yourself in, is probably going to also play a very important role. Anything related to question 2 that any of you still want to add? Like you think we've missed from the case study or from the different sources that we've identified?
No, sir.
Okay, so you think we're spot on?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, question 3. Identify the search, experience, and credence attributes of a brand such as Converse All-Stars. Can you still remember what the 3 different ones, what the 3 different attributes represent? Our search attributes are specifically referred to access to information. It happens before the purchase. You can actually evaluate and compare shoes based on certain attributes before you've actually purchased the shoes. The experiential or experience attributes you can only really actually evaluate after you've bought the shoe and wore the shoe. And your credence attributes, you're not in the business of making shoes, so you don't really understand all the stitching and whatever and the composition of the sole of the shoe and why this one is done in this particular way or designed in a specific way, or how high the ankle high design should be. You're not in that in that field of expertise, and therefore your credence attributes would be impossible for you to actually evaluate. Anything that you guys want to add in this regard? What would be the search attributes of a Converse All-Stars?
I would say when you go to a shop and you get to try on the shoes, how the different styles look on your foot before you purchase the shoe.
Yes, it's in fact using some of the senses that's applicable. You're not going to necessarily smell a shoe, but you're going to touch it. You're going to feel the fabric, and you're going to actually you're going to actually try it on and walk around in it and experience it. So that is definitely search attributes. Yes, experience attributes. It's sort of similar to a certain extent. Maybe the search attributes sort of run over into the experience attributes, because if you pick up the shoe, you look at it, firstly, it drew your attention. That's a search attribute. It drew your attention because of the colors and maybe the design of the shoe itself. And then you actually sit down, you try it on, and it becomes an experience. So the experience attributes, or the specific attributes or benefits that you expected to get from the shoe, is experienced.
And also, if, say, for instance, your sister has those shoes and you wear them for a day because it matches your outfit, and then you get to experience, and then you're like, okay, I want to buy myself these pair of shoes.
Exactly. You tried on your sister's shoes. It looks very nice. It feels very comfortable. And then somebody walks past, one of your friends, says, "Wow, those shoes look nice." So the compliment you receive also then adds to the experience, although you haven't even purchased the shoe yourself. But it has influenced your decision to now go out and buy it, because when everybody likes getting compliments, and then also you've experienced the shoe on your foot, although it wasn't yours, it was your sister's. That will never happen in my household. Never, 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 ever. Not any one of my boys will try that on me. He wants to be his own man and go to the shop. And you know what? Strange thing, I mean, and they don't know. They're not here. They can't, they're cutting on the conversation and deny it. They end up buying the same shoe. Exactly the same one. So why don't you want to try it on at home? I never understand teenagers. But anyway. Yes, you're quite right. That's the experience attributes, and then the credence attributes. The credence attributes is obviously, it's very difficult because for us to evaluate, and we can probably conclude that for none of the customers buying Converse All Stars, the credence attribute is actually possible to evaluate, because they are not experts. You don't, unless maybe you're an arts and design student at a college like Stadio, for instance, and you have some expertise in the field, although you're not working in the field yet, but you're studying in that field. Then maybe you can make a comment, and you will be looking at a shoe slightly different, because you know what to look for in a design, for instance. But very few of us can actually evaluate the credence attribute of a pair of All Stars, because we just don't manufacture shoes. We don't know enough. We're not experts. Anything else to add to question 3? It's rather straightforward so far. Okay, let's go to question 4. Name some reasons why you think Converse should widen their scope beyond its current target base. In other words, the 13 to 19-year-olds, and then also the 20 to 35-year-olds, young adults or young professionals, by focusing maybe on toddlers, for instance. Okay, what other target markets do you think they can consider? Is another way of asking this question. Anybody? Who's still awake?
We all answer.
Okay. Glad to hear that. On behalf of the group, thank you very much for confirming that you are still awake and alive. So let's contribute by giving some reasons why you think, or do you think, is there
I don't think they should broaden their target market, so because Converse isn't a shoe known for its, say, for instance, support, or if your feet can't walk in a plain old tacky the whole day and your feet need support. Converse doesn't offer that, so you can't offer it or target people older than their current target market, because those people generally look for shoes that are completely comfortable and that they can walk in the whole day without having pain at the end of the day, or something like that.
Well, no fashion knows no pain, eh?
Yeah.
Anyway,
but yeah,
you're quite right. I mean, and I was about to say that the question could also be rephrased in a way: is it necessary for them to change their target markets or add another one? And you've actually made a very valid point. And no, why fix something that's not broken? Why change if they are so successful with the 2 target markets that they have chosen? Why why try and rather add more designs and add more variety and that will satisfy the current target markets than actually putting the effort into exploring a new target market that might not work. And you're quite right, especially for toddlers, where they still need a lot of support because their bodies have not developed physiologically to the point where they are comfortable. They are still, and their feet grow. Their feet grow. I mean, my son actually, I bought him a pair of when he was still playing cricket at school. I bought him a special when I was overseas from the factory, a pair of cricket boots, and that was the beginning of December. So they broke. The summer break was there, and the school only returned, opened again, middle January. So the first cricket is probably only towards the end of January. That's about a 6-week period. The shoes were too small. Okay, so that happens as well. I mean, fortunately, I can still not get my money back, but at least there was another child whose parents also were looking for boots, so I can actually sell them to him, and it was straight from the box because he just outgrew them with even wearing them. So, and that's also often the case with toddlers and young primary school children. Their feet grow too quickly, and their feet shape after a while. And then also because you are focusing on the 13 to 9-year-olds, if they are happy with the shoes because it's nice and trendy and funky, what's the chances that they will not continue to buy the shoes when they are in their 20s and 30s? And by the time you get to 35, if you've been wearing a shoe that's very comfortable, whatever new designs they bring out, you will support because you have had the experience over an extended period of time on how good these shoes feel on your feet. I had a pair of Reebok shoes that I bought for myself in London. They were specifically a walking shoe. So it's not, you're not going to work. That's if you're going for a walk. It's not a running shoe, so you can't do a half marathon with it. But then there are people who are doing 5K walks and 10K walks. So it was intended for that specifically, and then also to do aerobic classes because of the design of the shoe and the support it gave you for those activities that you intend to do. I wore those shoes and they very mysteriously, after 18 years, just disappeared from my cupboard. I think I got the message then because but they were still they probably needed new soles. But the shoe itself, I was amazed that of the quality because the shoe. I know I wore it because I worked at that point. I worked in a health and fitness center in London. I wore it every day. So it had a few miles on before I returned to South Africa. And for me to still use it for another 15, 16 years after that, it was amazing. But again, obviously the wear and tear on the soles of the feet of the shoes. I wasn't prepared to actually keep the shoe and just resole it, but somebody else in my household obviously decided differently. And I have to admit, up to this point, I've never had you can probably categorize it as a sneaker. I definitely have never had a better pair of shoes ever since then. But anyway, yes, it is sometimes not necessary to expand your business into a different market. It's almost as if some businesses, only when they reach the point of their specific target markets being saturated, or there's all of a sudden new competitors entering that industry and that specific target market, that they might consider to add additional target markets. But based on the case study and the information we have, or that the case study gave us, there's no need for Converse to actually expand at this point. Question 5. Is competition in technology and the changing social views among consumers a threat to Converse All-Stars brand? What would you say? Do you think that technology competition and
I would say yes, sir, but it's like that for all types of products and services. Each product and service will have a threat of competition, advancing technology, and things like that. People who will have different opinions about the brand. Say, for instance, I don't like Converse.
Yes.
So, and none of my family members actually own Converse because we don't like it. And if my sister comes to me and asks me if she should buy Converse, I would tell her no because I don't like it. So I think that's for all brands like that, not just for Converse.
You're quite right, and I think, Danielle, also competition and technology, and people's changing views and perceptions is a constant. It's going to keep on changing, and actually, although it is a constant threat to Converse and all businesses in the same industry, and the business of shoe manufacturing, it is clear from the case study that it's it's a they've identified it as a potential threat, and as a result of that, they've acted on that, and that's why they have remained. Their market share has remained strong because they used the new technology. They didn't see it as a threat. They saw it as okay, we need to be aware of it, but let's rather see how we can actually benefit from
an
it.
opportunity.
Yes, they probably did a very, very nice SWOT analysis, and it came up is a potential threat, and then it converted that threat into an opportunity. Yes. And people will always have different social opinions. Some people said Megan is a gold digger, and some people say, you know what, no, she's an open and honest individual, and she had a serious problem that she wanted to share with the world. People have opinions about everything, and that's the only thing that is very common, and that is that everybody has different opinions, and unfortunately, it depends on the maturity level of the individuals involved. If you are prepared to accept other people's opinions, and like the same applies to you. And in your case, you just said, I mean, we've never had these shoes in our family. I don't like these shoes, and we've got our reasons for it. And the reasons is probably based on perceptions, and maybe the different target markets or consumers who wear shoes that's associated with the brand. Everybody's reasons for it is, and maybe you've got maybe you're a pronator, or maybe you're a supranator, and as a result of that, those shoes does not support your foot structure, and as a result, you don't like it. So there's various reasons, and everybody thankfully have their own reasons and motivations why they support a particular brand or not. But yes, these three aspects that we've identified can be a threat only if you don't act and use it, and see how you can benefit from it. If people on social media is indicating or bashing Converse all stars, then to me it's an opportunity. Or if I was working for Converse, okay, right, they're telling me exactly what they don't like about the shoe. Okay, right, we're not going to do that again. Let's try a different design. So it's the consumers trying. And a matter of fact, you might have you might actually draw new consumers to your brand if you act on the criticism that you receive towards a specific design. Because you know what, designers are designers. They are creative, and not everybody's going to like it. And sometimes, the first time that Crocs was out, everybody was buying Crocs. A variety of Crocs. That was one of the first shops when I went to New York that I visited, because I wanted to buy the latest Crocs, because I know they would not be in South Africa for the next 6 months. It was amazing, and I got my son some Crocs. I think he was still in primary school. Funky Crocs that lit up every time you take a step. It's a different color, and it's all. You know what? And then all of a sudden it sort of disappeared. And it was like over Crocs, and now they're back, and everybody had an opinion about it, and they changed their design slightly to so it's not just worn by certain or people over the age of 50 in khaki shorts from some northern geographical area of South Africa when they're on the beach, because those two don't go. Swimming trunks and Crocs don't go together, but at some point, some people believe that was a trend, but they were fashionably so wrong. But anyway, and now all of a sudden it's returned. So you can also reinvent your brand by adding, by persisting. And yeah, Crocs could have said, "Oh, geez, we've sold enough. People don't like it. Yeah, let's move on to something else." But they didn't. They repositioned themselves, and that's also a strong suit for a business. Right. Let's start with this. I'm pretty sure we won't be able to finish it within the 4 minutes that we have, but let's just put question 6 out there. And question 6 says that the different, those 5 different, after sessions stopped already. What's wrong? No, there are so many pop-ups here now that I'm going crazy. Okay, everybody still on board? Yep, seems like it. Right. Discuss the influences of the following factors. Those 5 factors: perception, attitude, cultural groups, reference groups, and family that they might have, or do you think they have an impact on the Converse shoes? Let's just start with perception. I think in the previous question, you've already expressed that maybe it is a perception of an individual that has affected their influenced their decision not to buy a Converse All-Star shoe. Okay, perception definitely can have an influence, and maybe as the perception of, oh yeah, those are the shoes. It's just the rockers and the chotsis and the gangsters who wear those shoes. That's a perception. That's a misperception, but it is a perception that can influence your decision.
It's like, because I grew up in a very small town in the Northern Cape, and only the colored people wore those shoes, and I think that's where my dislike for the shoe comes from, because till this day I don't like the shoe because that's how I grew up.
Yes. Your perception was linked to the association with the group of people who wore it.
Yes.
And as we said on yesterday in our session following Oprah's interview with Harry and Meghan, you only know what you know. If you don't know, you form your perception based on what you know. Attitude. How do you think attitude, or do you think attitude is? And remember, attitude is when your beliefs and your values is expressed in your thoughts and your actions. Do you think your attitude or person's attitude, you think that anybody believes that these shoes are as great as they are, or anybody maybe won't wear it because the values of their particular culture does not necessarily support this? Or wouldn't attitudes play such a great role, for instance, on buying these shoes?
I think it does play, because I think my perception and my attitude towards the shoe isn't necessarily justifiable, because why don't I like the shoe just because the township people wore the shoe?
Yes.
That doesn't make the shoe a bad shoe, because they also can like shoes and shoes that I wear. So attitude, I think, plays a very big role towards when anybody buys a product.
Very much so, Danielle. And yes, I'll continue this conversation. We're almost going to end the session. So let's just, I'm going to end it for us all. And then we can just rejoin on the same link immediately, and then we could finish early. Okay. Keep well, I'll see you just now, or we'll continue this conversation just now. Thanks, Marley.